see if we have a path forward to getting this bill in a position where we can finish it next week without working the weekend. But if we can't, the weekend's still in play.
Yield to her for a question.
If the senator would yield.
Of course.
I think that's an excellent suggestion, Senator. And again, let me just be very complimentary sincerely to you for your patience. And I really appreciate the compliments because, as you know, I mean, there are many other senators that feel just like I do. I mean, it's time to be senators again, and it's just time to trust one another to at least move amendments that are non-controversial, that no one objects to, and then we can then whittle the list down to those, Mr. Leader, that do need debate and discussion, and as you said, a little trading has to go on. I mean, that is normal. What's not normal is coming to this floor, and those of us that have worked so hard to get co-sponsors, to tap down resistance, to modify, to compromise, we just don't get any time at all because, I don't know who decided we don't. But I have enough power here to try to change it, and I'm going to. So I just want to say in closing, I have in front of me a list which I'm going to put into the record of 24 amendments by Begich, Cardin, Collins, Hagan, Heller, Kirk, Klobuchar, Landrieu, Leahy, Hatch, Murray, Nelson, Reed, Schwartz, Stabenow, Udall, and a few others, about 24, that the Republicans and the Democrats think no one objects to. I would like to ask the leader if he would review this list tonight, ask the manager of the bill if they would review this list tonight, and if we could just get these non-controversial amendments agreed to, either by voice vote, individual vote, on block vote. It doesn't matter to me. It could be this week or next week. But these amendments have been worked on by members of both sides genuinely. We don't want any headlines. We don't want any press releases, Mr. Leader. We would just like our amendments passed. There's no opposition to them. And I would hope that I will provide this list to you, and hopefully tomorrow morning when everybody's calmed down a little bit, maybe that's the way we can proceed.
Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
To my friend from Louisiana, I reiterate what I said earlier. I understand her concern. The only thing I would say in regard to her statement is that we want to do things the normal way. I'm sad to report that the normal way is what we've been doing the last 6 or 8 months, and that's a sad commentary. It's become the normal way. So I would hope, I'd be happy to review that list. I'll do it in looking at every amendment. There are some people, you know, who don't want this bill to pass. They don't want to do anything to improve the bill. And no matter what side you're on, who's offering the amendment, these are people who offered these amendments in good faith, that they want to improve the bill. Understand, some people don't want the bill improved. They just want the bill to go away. So I will work on this, and I haven't talked to Senator Leahy tonight, but I will. I talked to Senator Grassley earlier today, but I heard the Senator loud and clear and did the best I can. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to pre-morning business. Senator allowed to speak for up to 10 minutes each.
Without objection.
I ask consent the Senate proceed to calendar number 86, S579.
Clerk will report.
Calendar number 86, S579, a bill to direct the Secretary of State to develop a strategy to obtain observer status for Taiwan at the Triennial International Civil Aviation Organization Assembly and for other purposes.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
Mr. President, I ask the bill be read a third time passed. Motion reconsidered because they're made and laid on the table. There be no intervening action or debate.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I ask that the Senate proceed to the consideration of the following bills. Calendar number 45, S23, 46, S25, S40, calendar number 47, S26, calendar number 48, S112, calendar 49, S130, calendar 50, 157, S157, calendar number 52, S230, calendar number 53, S244, calendar number 55, S276, calendar number 56, S304, calendar number 59, S352, calendar number 61, S383, calendar number 62, S393, and calendar 63, S459.
Is there an objection to proceeding to the measures en bloc? Without objection.
I ask consent. The bills as be agreed to, all of them that I just read into the record, and the motion reconsider be laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Without objection.
See, Mr. President, we can do some things. We just pass some bills. Okay. I ask consent the Judiciary Committee be discharged from further consideration, and the Senate now proceed to S-170.
Clerk will report.
S-Res 170, commemorating John Lewis on the 50th anniversary of his chairmanship of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
Is there objection? Without objection, the committee is discharged, and the Senate will proceed to the measure.
I ask unanimous consent the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, motion reconsider be laid on the table.
Without objection.
Mr. President, we whipped right through this, but John Lewis, in my lifetime, is one of the finest, patriotic, courageous people I've ever known. I have so much admiration for this man. I've told him this personally. I want the record to be spread with this. He is a person who, as a very, very young man, wanted to change the world in his own way, and in his own way he's helped change the world. I so admire him. Mr. President, I ask consent the Senate proceed to the consideration of S-Res 175.
Clerk will report.
S-Res 175, observing Juneteenth Independence Day, June 19, 1865, as a day on which slavery finally came to an end in the United States.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, the motion reconsider be laid on the table with no intervening action or debate.
Without objection.
Okay. I ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to S-Res 176.
Clerk will report.
S-Res 176, designating July 12, 2013 as Collector Car Appreciation Day, and so forth.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, the motion reconsider be laid on the table, there be no intervening action or debate.
Without objection.
I ask consent the Senate proceed to S-Res 177.
Clerk will report.
S-Res 177, honoring the entrepreneurial spirit of small business concerns in the United States during National Small Business Week, which begins on June 17, 2013.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, the motion reconsider be laid on the table with no intervening action or debate.
Without objection.
Note the absence of quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.
Mr. President, I ask consent to call the quorum be vitiated.
Without objection.
Pursuant to the previous order, I ask the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of H.R. 475. The bill be read a third time and passed, and the Senate proceed to vote. I'm sorry, let's start over again, Mr. President. Regarding H.R. 475, pursuant to the previous order, I ask the Senate proceed to the consideration of H.R. 475. It'll be read a third time. Senate proceed to vote on passages provided under the previous order.
Clerk will report.
H.R. 475, an act to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to include vaccines against seasonal influenza within the definition of taxable vaccines.
Under the previous order, the bill will be considered read 3 times. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The bill is passed.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate completes its business day, adjourn until 9:30 a.m. on Thursday, June 30th, 2013. Following the prayer and the pledge, morning hour be deemed expired. The journal proceedings be approved to date. Time for the 2 leaders be reserved for the use later in the day, and that the time until 11:30 be equally divided between the majority and minority.
Without objection.
Now they got Senators should be then prepared for roll call vote at 11:30 tomorrow morning. I'm doing that in an effort to make progress on this bill. We'll continue to try to work through additional amendments tomorrow. Additional votes are expected, and that's an understatement. Mr. President, I again tell everyone we're doing our utmost to try to make it as convenient as possible for people to have the amendments determined by a vote or some other manner. But we may have to be here this weekend. I hope that's not the case. I've alerted people for days now. So if there's no further business coming before the Senate, I ask it adjourn under the previous order.
The Senate stands adjourned until 9:30 a.m. tomorrow.
The Senate continued work on immigration and border security legislation today. They took a number of amendment votes and agreed to a measure to recruit and promote former members of the armed forces to serve in U.S. Customs and Border Protection positions. Majority Leader Harry Reid announcing late today that there will be a number of amendment votes tomorrow afternoon. The Senate also approved the nomination of Michael Froman to be U.S. Trade Representative, 93-4, with 1 senator voting present. Live Senate coverage is here on C-SPAN 2.
It was a